So what was my haul from Model Rail Scotland? Well, I was really good this year and I just bought this one wagon. Oh, god damn it. Now I'm blaming this one on Ellis Clark Trains. Everything here apart from one locomotive I bought from him. I swear that guy has taken almost as much money from me as this guy. Anyway, let's open up these models one by one and we'll have a look. They're all going to come to this channel eventually. I'll do a little bit of review on each of them. But for now, let's just get them open, see what we've got, and see if they're worth the money I paid for them. So this is the one that didn't come from Ellis Clark Trains. So you can see that this was £20 and it came in half a box. But it's looking not too bad condition at all. This is a GUF model and it's obviously a Dutch electric locomotive. Looks pretty good and doesn't seem to have any damage, including the pantographs at the top, and it's even got the handrails as well. They're intact too. So I think this was quite a good purchase, and for £20 I think not too bad at all. Okay, now we come on to the Ellis Clark ones, which are all in these little plastic sleeves, which does keep the locomotive quite intact if there's pieces falling off it, but it doesn't help it if it gets bashed around, and certainly there was a bit of a scramble for these locomotives. So I've just picked up this one here. This is £35, and I think this is possibly an Austrian or maybe German electric locomotive. So let's get this open and we'll have a look. So this one hasn't fared too good on the roof here. We've got some parts that are fallen off. It does have this part here as well, which has come away. But the pantographs are looking pretty good condition, and overall that's not too bad at all. I'm not sure who made this model. It doesn't have any maker's mark on it, but we'll get it in more detail in another video coming soon. So this one was £35. So this one was £20, and let's get this one open. Okay, this is obviously a French locomotive, a CC class. Again, the pantographs are looking pretty good condition, and it's got this extra parts on the roof as well, which are intact. And even the handrails around both ends of this locomotive are intact as well, which is great. It's a Pico model, this one, and it looks quite interesting with all the gearing on the wheels there, so I'm going to look forward to seeing this one in action. It does have a bit of damage here. It's lost a buffer and it's a bit broken as well. But other than that, looking pretty good. So that was £20. Another locomotive, this time £15. So this one, I'm not actually sure which country it's from. It says FS on the front. I think that's maybe Spanish. This is a Lima one, but it's made in China, so it's a recent one. And it looks in pretty good condition. And also the pantographs are complete as well. They're not broken off or anything, even though these ones are made of plastic. It looks like quite a basic model, but it does look fairly modern and nice bright colours as well. So that was £15. So the first of the wagons here, £8 for this Fleischmann wagon. So you might think £8 for a Fleischmann wagon is quite a lot, but this is actually a track cleaning one, and it operates like this where the wheels go round and these things spin around and clean your track as it goes along. So quite a neat wagon, quite a nice thing to have. Not bad for £8. So this wagon was just £2.50. It is another Fleischmann wagon, but it does have metal steps. And it looks quite good as well, pretty good condition too. So not bad for £2.50, I just threw this in as an extra, just right at the very end. Then we've got a steam locomotive, this was £35. So I wasn't sure of the manufacturer when I purchased this, but I can actually see it says Lilliput in Austria underneath the tender there. It's got pickup here from the tender. So this one does look as though it's a bit of an oddity because the wheels here look as though they should be driven, but they're not. And there's just pickup on the tender as well. So this actually might be missing its motor, which is a bit of a shame. It wasn't mentioned when I bought this one, and it was one of the most expensive I've bought in this pile. So without a motor in it, that's quite a disappointment. But we'll see when we get this one open later on. Well, this one's an American locomotive, a bit rare for me, but I do have a couple in my collection. This one was £35. Well, it's certainly very dusty. This one is actually a Bachmann loco, but it does look pretty complete, and it's got even the handrails as well, even though they're a bit bashed in at the side here. You should be able to get straightened out, but it certainly needs a hell of a clean. Oh, it's actually missing handrails here, which is a shame, but not a bad model. Looks pretty good. Anyway, that was 35. So a British model here. This one is £15. Let's get this open. So it's a Lima single card DMU. Looks pretty good actually. It's got an interior and everything. Looks like it's got drive just at the back here and some really dodgy pickups at the front. I'm not sure whether this has been painted or not, but it looks quite good. Quite surprised. Even the exhaust pipes here aren't broken or anything, so not a bad looking model. Anyway, that was £15. This one, £20. It's another locomotive. Well, this one looks as though it has been painted before, and it looks pretty bad for it as well. It looks like a lighter blue colour underneath, or possibly a kind of aquamarine green colour. It's a Juef model, but again it's another Dutch locomotive, very similar to the other one I got for £20 off a different seller. So this one might actually need a bit of restoration on it and some paintwork stripped off. It does have both pantographs and the connections in between intact, which is good, but it does look as though it has rather a crude mechanism underneath it. So it might be quite an interesting model to get to grips with. It also looks as though it's possibly got some lighting there, very crudely done though. This one here was £20. Now we've got another locomotive at 25. So I don't know who made this one. I think it's probably either a Thurn or Bachmann, probably a Thurn. And it seems to have this metal piece stuck through here for some reason. Not quite sure why. It doesn't have any couplings, but what attracted me to this model particularly was that it had this electrical pickup on the roof here, which is quite rare for American locomotives. This one looks as though it's been weathered at some point in the past, but it does look very unusual and quite an interesting model, so that's why I decided to buy this one. Anyway, £25 for this. Not too bad, I think. Now we've got a couple of four-wheel coaches. One was £5 and the other one was £7. I'm not sure why they were priced differently, but anyway, let's get these open and we'll have a look. So both of these are Fleischmann coaches, and aside from the couplings and the verandas on each end, I don't know why these were different prices. The one at the top was the £7 one, which doesn't have verandas, and the £5 one does. A bit strange, but they look pretty good. No damage I can see. They've got different couplings on them, but nice little coaches. I quite like these four-wheel coaches. Okay, so this was £13.50. This was a bit of a gamble. I didn't actually know whether this is part of a set or whether it's meant to be a locomotive in its own right. Anyway, let's get this open and we'll take a look. Okay, so this is a Lima model and it's driven at the front here. This looks as though it could have had something fitted on here, but it doesn't anymore, but I'm not quite sure. It looks a bit odd, but we can see it's a French locomotive. It has got a broken buffer here and a very interesting back end to it as well. Not bad, I thought. £13.50. I think that's quite a decent bargain. Okay, so this locomotive was £35, so let's get this open as well. Okay, so this is a Fleischmann locomotive. It's quite heavy as well. And what I like about this is that all these little parts here are still intact as well on each corner of the locomotive. Looks in pretty good condition, I think. It might even have lights, this one. Anyway, one of the more expensive of the ones I bought, so this is £35, not too bad. Now this one does have some things rattling around inside the packaging. It was £8 for this. I think it might be a Thurn, but it doesn't say on it. But I quite like these container wagons. It didn't come with a container though. So we have a collection of little parts that have fallen off this wagon, so we're going to have to do a bit of a repair job on this. These are always very delicate, but it looks in good condition apart from the little bits of damage here and there. So one that's going to have to get fixed up. Okay, so this is a coach at £8, but I've also got another two of these coaches which were £16 for the two, and they're all the same kind of design. It's this suburban style. So these are all Fleischmann coaches and they're all very similar. They've got the Frankfurt Metro on it, I think it is, and all three are slightly different as well, which is pretty cool. I quite like the effect on the side of these coaches. So at £8 each, I think these are really good. So this was £15. It's a Hornby Class 25, but I thought this was quite cool. I quite like 25s. So we are missing a coupling at this side. This is actually one that's been made in China, although you wouldn't think it because it looks like the one I've got from the 70s. Apart from the body shell, which is looking a little bit better than my one. Not a bad little model, this one, and £15, I think that's a good price. So this is the heaviest model here, it's £25 as well, so let's get this open. So this is an old Markland model. I think it's actually a metal body on this one because it is really heavy. And I think this locomotive is in a Belgian Railways livery. Very interesting model, this one, I think. And it's certainly got some presence as well. £25 for an old Markland model, I think is great value for money. So I'm quite chuffed that I got this one. Another small wagon, this one's only £5. The packaging had been open on this one. I'm not sure if all the parts are still included. So it does look as though we've got a little bit of damage here with this little handrail. This has some Dutch logos on the side of it. Looks not too bad a wagon, but it does look as though it's had a hard life and it hasn't survived that well in the packaging. It says Rocco on the bottom here, but I think this needs a little bit of a repair anyway. Okay, a very colourful Swiss coach here. This one is £10. So it does look as though the coupling here has taken a bash and is bent out of shape there. It is in an M pocket, so it should be easy to fix. This one is another Rocco model. It looks very colourful and it's a quite a nice model, this one I think. And I think for £10 that's a pretty good bargain. So I'll have to do a bit of a repair here, but apart from that, pretty good. Okay, this one was £5 and you can see a part has fallen off here. So it looks as though we have a door and some steps that have been broken off this coach, and it also looks as if maybe this door here has been glued on as well. Inside you can see that it has a light bulb in there, so it's obviously got some pickup. This is actually a Schicht, I think that's how you pronounce it, model. So this is made in East Germany, I think. So it needs a bit of a repair, but it could be quite an interesting wagon to have. It does also have a bit of a problem up here on the roof as well, so this is going to have to go in for repairs, I think. But for £5, this baggage car I think is a good purchase. 2 coaches now, £15 the pair. Let's get these open. So these are Schicht coaches as well. Deutsche Reichsbahn, obviously. Pretty old, these coaches, and you can see that there's a bit of a problem. I'm getting some silver on my fingers here, and it's also scratched on the roof here. I think that's probably from the wheels from the one above. So that's a shame. These ones have suffered a little bit in the packaging. The top one, unsurprisingly, looks okay on the roof. It's got a bit of a scratch on the roof there, but it's not too bad at all. But for £15 a pair, I think these are pretty good as well. So we're down to our final one, and it's this wagon here, which has fallen apart a little bit as well. So let's get this open and have a look. So this one hasn't fared too good. These containers are falling off, and also it's missing the end of one of these here. Hopefully it's just a push fit. There you go, easy enough to fix. Now, this seems to be a metal chassis here, but it's very characterful wagon, this one. Looks really colourful. Very happy with that, £5. And that's the last of the models that I got. So this is a really good haul, I think. So much so I can't even get everything in the shot here. I've tried my best anyway. Lots of interesting locomotives and rolling stock. Some of them need a bit of work, and possibly some of them weren't such a good bargain after all. Time will tell, but it'll certainly keep me busy. None of these things were really that expensive, so even if I make a mess of it or they don't work, it's not really that big a loss. There's a few of these locomotives which I think are really special, and some which I think are just good run-of-the-mill locomotives to have. If you've got a favourite out of what you've seen today, put it in the comments below. I'd love to know what you think as well. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe as well. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you on the next one.